But we know no matter what, we'll always have the time to talk about the wastelands, talk about the lore, talk about surviving radiation storms, talk about the doubts, talk about the fears, talk about the game we all love. It's Fallout through the years. That Fallout show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of That Fallout Show. I am Shaline, and joining me today is Vendertron,
Hello, welcome, sir or madam.
and our very special guest, Victoria.
Hello.
Hi, it's lovely to meet you. I'm so glad you could join us today. And you may have noticed, folks at home, that this was not introduced by the
Oh, no.
dulcet tones of Rick
Oh, no.
McVick.
We forgot Rick.
We did. We forgot him. There's only room for 3 people on the screen.
I
So
have
we
a.
only
I
have
have
three
a.
slots.
There's a frowning Rick in the
We
Google Drive.
We
Um,
forgot. Oh,
in
yes.
case,
You're right. Hang on.
in case you want to just throw
on,
him
hang
in
on.
there while we're. I'll just go
I
into the
can't.
intro.
There he is. There's Rick.
Oh, look at him. He looks so happy.
Okay, it's okay.
He's so grouchy. Yeah. But Rick was fired. Rick is no longer with us. R.I.P. Rick is sick. He doesn't feel good today, so he was not able
Yeah.
to join us.
We instead of Rick, we have Victoria. As Rick's interim replacement. So
I
Rick
mean-
sends his regards, everyone. He woke up this morning feeling a little bit under the weather. So.
Don't tell Rick, but I think we traded up. So just saying.
You said it, not me. You can fight with him on that one later. So Shaline, how you doing? How was your week?
It was a week. Yeah, it was a tough week for me, but it's over. I'm glad it's Friday. Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
excited to be here for the show.
Me too. And Victoria, how are you doing? How was your day?
My day, I had a bunch of meetings at work.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm happy for it to be the weekend finally.
Yeah. Thank God it's the weekend. It's been a busy week for me too. I'm in the public health realm, so everybody's on edge this week given
Right.
current crisis. Yeah, it's quite interesting to hear what some of the experts in my local area are talking about. So, but yeah, shall we do a show?
I think we should do a show. If you're here watching us live, please drop us a host on Twitch. And if you're not, share us on your social media. Like, subscribe, retweet, tell your friends about us, tell your grandma's friends. And of course, Vendor, I think you wanted to do a quick little shout out, a health related one.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it warrants that we should acknowledge those people who on the other side of the world who are having a very difficult time with the coronavirus outbreak in China. We want to send you all of our stim packs and all of our love. Keep up the good work, everyone. We will fight this together.
Indeed. Thank you, Vendor.
Mhm.
You're always keeping us health minded on this show.
Yeah, I know. I always have to throw
Yeah.
in my little health things. It's weird. Sorry.
It's quite valuable, in my opinion. But today we're going to have a lovely chat with Victoria. We're going to talk about some news. We have some challenge photos and a very special edition of TFS Nailed It. And we have a couple of listener emails as well. Before we get into that, we like to thank everyone who leaves us a 5-star review on iTunes. Vendor, who do we have?
We have one 5-star review on iTunes, and this comes from FrizzKBL, who says, excellent show, has the right mixture of fun and news. I learn something new about Fallout every time I listen. Keep up the good work. And if you guys would like to leave us a 5-star review shout out, all you have to do is head on over to iTunes, search We Just Love Games, That Fallout Show, or Game Stack Podcast, and you can leave us a review. And if you leave us 5 stars, we will shout you out on the show and share your message with the rest of the audience. We also have some new people to our Discord, Shaline. Shall I list those off?
I'd love it.
We've got Mind Reader, Branananandadon, Staged Link, Lord Irish, and Razor Akadavaz. I wanted to say avocados, but all very good names. Welcome everybody coming into the Discord community, as Rick likes to call it. It's our chat after dark. If you would like to join us in the Discord and you're not in there yet and you are in our chat live with us this evening, just scroll down right below me here in our Twitch page and there's a link for the Discord. If you are listening afterwards, you can always send us a personal message on any social media platform and we will make sure that you get the link.
Indeed.
But,
Thank
that's
you
all the
very
people
much
in the
for that.
Discord. Yeah.
Well, I think that means it's time to get down to brass tacks and
The
the
most
reason
important
why we're
part.
all here.
Of course.
We would like to have a little chat with Victoria Rosenthal, who we invited today because she is the author of the Fallout Cookbook.
Ta-da!
Indeed. Yes.
Oh, look at that. Well, I mean, one would expect you to buy your own book. Actually, you probably didn't. I mean, you should have been gifted at least one copy.
Yes, I was given a few
Yeah.
as a thank you.
and you sign them all, I hope. And
Yes.
Oh, can you just sign? I'll send you my book and then you can sign it and then send it back to me. I'll pay for
Maybe.
the postage. Yeah.
Yeah. we might talk afterwards.
So thank you so much for joining us. This is absolutely fantastic to have you on our show. You're
I
here.
appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, it's so great that you could take time out of your very busy schedule to join us. Yeah, I don't know. How do you want to start, Shaline? How?
Oh, well, I think we should just keep it casual and just have a little conversation. But how did you end up writing a Fallout cookbook? Let's start with that.
Yeah.
So I'd say around October 2012 it all started. I started my food blog, Pixelated Provisions, where each week I recreate a food item found in many different video games. Fallout is one of those included.
Okay.
So years and years of practice, getting better with photography, getting better with recipe writing. It was, I believe, 2017, August. I remember very well because Harvey had just hit Houston. So this is Hurricane Harvey. Everything was fine by our house, but it was 3 days of nonstop rain. My husband and I had a trip planned, but we had to cancel it. And then I get an email from Inside Editions. And I was like, oh, this is weird. They're like, oh, we've seen your food blog and we really like your stuff. We're curious if you'd want to work on a project. And I was like, is this real? And then I looked and they had done like the World of Warcraft official cookbook. And I was like, oh, what? I finally did something. So I was like, okay. So I went and talked with them a bit and they were like, well, send us a few example photos. They said, we're doing Fallout. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. Not one that I would have expected to be like an official cookbook. So I was like, okay, let's do this. I sent my examples and they were like, oh, we like your stuff. It's really good. And the writing and the direction, yes, let's go with this. And then it was a very, very fast and busy 6 months.
Really? 6 months?
Oh my goodness gracious. When I heard the dates, I was like, wait a second.
Wait a minute. You wrote this in 6 months.
So here's the timeline that happened. And I'll drop it how this one was very aggressive. They wanted to have it out before 76. So I had no idea 76 was a thing, but they were very specific. Hey, we need this book out by October of 2018. And we need it out then. I was like, okay, well, sure, we'll do that. So we need it done by January. So and then Insight could have all their stuff so they could put it all together. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So October rolls around and we're like, okay, here's the initial list. Hey, Bethesda, tell us if this is good. Wait a bit. November rolls around. So now I'm like, okay, this is 2 months. I have 2 months left.
Oh my.
And I'm like, okay, y'all, we're gonna hear things. So I started doing some photos and stuff. Luckily with work, I had a bunch of extra vacation time. So the last 2 weeks of December, I took off and I was just like, here we go. And there were days where I was doing like 6 or 7 recipes. And I was like, friends, please come over. I have so much food. Help me.
Oh my gosh.
So it was very crazy. It was the first book I had done, and I was like, I hope it's not like this again.
So the Fallout Cookbook was the first book that you commissioned.
That was the first official one that I had full charge of. Yep.
Oh wow. And had you created other cookbooks prior to that, or it was
So
Pixelated Provisions was
Pixelated
sort of
Provisions
the
was,
brainchild of?
yeah, it was the brainchild. That's how I mostly did my recipe writing. I also helped. There was like a small community that put together an unofficial Final Fantasy 15 cookbook. I gave a
Okay.
few recipes for that. Um, but beyond that, yeah, this was the first one where it's like, hey, we need 70 to 80 recipes.
Oh my god.
And I was like, yeah, that's doable.
You are like a modern day Julia Child.
It
Like-
feels that way sometimes. Like, yeah, sure,
Day
this is
4.
fine.
Day 4, we're into gravies now. I have to make 12 different gravies.
To make 12 of them and just start running with it.
Wow. So how did you feel at the end of it then? I mean, obviously it was a marathon.
It was a marathon.
Were you
And-
just kind of like, ugh, I don't want to like look at food for a while?
No, so I was like, I still have to keep doing recipes for my site. I was trying to do my best to be like, okay, every week I'm still doing one recipe a week. Maybe it's just a drink and not like a full recipe, but it's just so people don't go, where'd she go? Why
Yeah.
did she vanish? Because I couldn't
Yeah.
say anything about the project yet.
Right.
Oh, right.
So yeah, it was very hush hush until June when they finally were like, we could announce it. But it was like, I think for me, it was because my husband, love him dearly. He helps me with this a lot because there's a lot of lore to go through for any franchise that we do. So there's that big dive where we're looking and we're trying to find the voice that we want in the book so it all fits in the world.
True.
I
That's
was
true.
just like, I'm done. I don't want to look at Fallout. I don't want to look at Fallout for like a few months. Like that was just I'm good for a bit. And then eventually you go back and you play your games. But food, no, I didn't stop. That couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously your love of food, right? That is that is just for life. How did Pixelated Provisions come along? What kind of sparked your idea with that?
So I'd say a year before I started Pixelated Provisions, kind of graduated from college, ended up in Houston for work, and I was like, oh, a lot of my friends don't cook. I cook. I should just start putting recipes up. I started a generic food blog where it was just like random recipes, whatever. I dropped it like 3 months in. I got bored. And then a year later, I was like, you know what? What if I combine my two passions? I really, really love video games and I really love food. There's lots of food in video games. Why don't we start doing this? And I was like, okay. So
It's brilliant.
just started doing that. Yeah. And 7.5 years later, I'm still doing it.
And so like when Insight Editions approached you, I mean, obviously you had created many of the recipes already out of the game, so it was kind of already your intellectual property, in a sense, because you had made the recipe.
Right. So
Yeah.
the recipes, yeah, it's stuff I came up with. I think all of the ones in the book are original, like completely original recipes. I think the only one that's on the site is the perfectly preserved pie, which I did, which was funny, like a month before they contacted me, and I had that up on the site already. And I asked them, I'm
Oh.
like, do I have to take any of this stuff off of the site? And they're like, no, you only have a handful. It's fine. And I think yeah, the pie might be the only one that made it in from the site.
Huh.
Very cool.
Well, I mean, you know what? The pie is what really made me notice food in video games. What would you
stands out?
Right? What would you say, Shaline? What was the item in video games that
Well,
sparked your
I never really thought of it that way, but the pie is iconic.
Yes.
It's iconic in terms of Fallout, and it's very special to our podcast for a number of reasons. You know, we used to do another show that was very similar to this one, and Vendor was a listener of that show, and he sent Rick and I some clay pies that he had made. we would do challenges based around building a shrine to the perfectly preserved pie and
Oh, that's amazing.
that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
it's very special to us.
I was a crazy fan. I mean, they didn't want to open the boxes because they were like unsure what was in it. Obviously,
They're
all
like,
good things, but yeah. It's funny that I made the perfectly preserved pie out of clay first and not real food.
That is a
I
little
mean,
funny. Yeah.
one would think that you would try to do it with real food, like our wonderful guest.
It's
but
funny actually because I do think people are more likely to make things out of clay. I think gamers in general because there's a fear
True.
of the kitchen, and that's my biggest goal is to say, hey, the kitchen's not that spooky. It's a good place and you can make delicious things. It's just you gotta get pushed in a little bit. So why not do it with nerdy food?
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about like your gaming history. Are you a lifelong gamer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been playing video games since I was a wee girl. I mean, I had a Super Nintendo. No, lies. I had a Nintendo. Never had a Super Nintendo. Had a Nintendo, lots of Mario, lots of Nintendo games just in general. And then I did play a lot of PC games growing up. So your Warcrafts, Diablo, all those fun ones. And it's been important. I did originally go to school thinking I was going to go into the video game industry. Got a degree in 3D animation. I have not done 3D animation in years now. But it was, I think a lot of friends started going into the industry and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. So it just kind of dropped off. But then my way to contribute to the video game community is through this food stuff.
Yeah. That's something very unique. That's this is a new thing. This is not something that we've really seen before. And do you have a history with the Fallout series? That was something I was going to ask. You mentioned the lore in here, and
Yes.
that was something that I noticed. It's so colorful, the writing in the book. It's so colorful, and it feels like this is a book I could have found in the wasteland. I just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, so my history with Fallout is I played Fallout 3 first. Now, so people are going to be like, "Oh my goodness, just that one?"
That was our first Fallout too.
Okay. I imagine for a lot of people that's probably the case.
Yeah,
I played it a bunch in college and I played a bunch of Fallout 4 and the voice that always stuck out to me was Vault-Tec. They're witty, they're crazy, they mean well, but not really. So getting that voice in the book was extremely easy. Just the humor that exists in the Bethesda franchise is just amazing.
If I could just read one. Why drink wine to celebrate the end of a meal when you can eat your wine instead?
Exactly.
That is the question we pose to our scientists and what led them to this delicious creation. And we're talking about the mulled pears, if you all remember. So, yes, that is the language. And I do love it. It's great. I love also how you have substituted things. So instead of poached cod, it's poached angler. Or,
that was a big thing with the book. So the book's originally written by Vault-Tec pre-war, and so
of course,
didn't know anything that would be happening. And then a vault dweller just picks it up and goes, "Well, let me fix this. Let me go and make this what we could do here."
Substitutions.
Yeah,
with what's available in the wasteland. It's really great. I mean, you've seen some of the recipes that I've done so far online. Some of them were quite challenging. I would say the what was it? The Radgull power noodles, which would be the duck curry, was probably the most difficult one I've done so far.
You did an amazing job with it, though.
You did really well. Yeah.
I drove around the city to three Asian supermarkets because everyone was sold out of duck.
Oh no!
And you can't get duck in a white person grocery store here. It just doesn't exist.
So the funny thing is, a place that I find duck here is alcohol stores. Like liquor stores have them, like in their frozen section. They just have duck breast, and I'm like, excuse me, why can't I get this at a regular grocery store?
That is so odd.
You mean grocers where they sell liquor?
No, so a liquor store. It's just a store for liquor. And
Right.
here in Houston, yeah, that's all they have. So they also have a small frozen section of some food.
That is very unusual.
And they just happen to have duck.
Yeah, they have duck. I guess they want you to be fancy while you're drinking your booze.
Why not get a 2-6 and a duck at the same time?
Exactly. There you go.
Heavens to Betsy.
I was so confused. Yeah, because I could go get it at a local Asian store, but that's a further drive than the liquor store.
Mhm. So not only did you come home with a duck when you were testing out this recipe, but maybe that's why it was so difficult. I mean, the difficulty is medium, but I think cooking the duck for me was the hard part.
So you have to grind for materials before you can
There you
make the
go.
recipe.
Yes. You exactly. Oh man. Yeah, some of the other recipes are pretty good. The quantum pie was a tough one.
I had to do that one twice.
Yeah,
when
I
testing
definitely
it.
didn't do it right, but it still tasted good. So
And that's all that matters.
yeah. But when you were making the book, like I ran into, like I didn't make the quantum pie right the first time. And you had said you had to make it twice. Was there any challenges, trials and tribulations? Anything that you just like makes your eye twitch?
The one that I don't do anymore, and a lot of people like it, is the buff out cookies. Which surprising, you're like, oh, they're just cookies. That's fine. That one, and my husband's in chat too, could say we went through 3, maybe 4 renditions of it that night because I was like, why is it was spreading, it was doing funky things, and I was like, okay, let me try again. Just change these numbers. Here we go again. Oh, it doesn't look right. It turned too dark. I'll try again. And it was just like nonstop. Just scratch, write this down. Okay, let's change this number. Oh, if I put it in the fridge, it'll hold better. Stuff like that. So that recipe was a constant horror. I have not made it again.
Not only are you a chef, but you are a food scientist.
Yes.
Constantly tweaking these things.
Oh yeah. I'm always trying to test things and see, oh, does this flavor work? What if I do this? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that you're actually a vault tech scientist.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Uncovered. Was there a recipe that really has stood out for you in making this book? Like, what is your what would you say is your favorite?
Okay. I have a few. The duck udon is one.
Oh, really?
I love that. I love it. Whenever I get a chance to make it, I'll make it. I think I made that one recently-ish because I was like, I feel like duck, and that was perfect. I also like the Lady Palmer's sweet rolls.
Okay.
They do take, you have to let them kind of rest for a bit, and they're really good. Instead of being like your common, oh, this is a cinnamon roll, there's a bunch of spices in there, and the flavor is just really good. The one thing I'm sad about with that recipe, I think I had originally written a quarter or a half teaspoon of turmeric for the dough, but the editor took it out because I guess they were like, oh, there's too many ingredients in this. And you lose the yellowish color that the photos have of the dough. So it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, if adding the turmeric changes the color.
Changes the
Oh.
color. And it's a nice little extra flavor, even though it's such a little amount. I noticed it after when I was looking at the book. I was like, oh, that's going to be my answer for some things. And I was like, wait, where's the turmeric? Where did it go?
Mm-hmm.
I also really like the Rad Scorpion on Croûte because those are really easy. They're very good.
The Rad Scorpion what, sorry?
The en croûte. Am I going crazy?
I don't think I've encountered this one yet.
It is my head's broken.
Oh, there, en croûte. Yeah, page 99. Everyone in your textbooks.
Everyone in your textbooks, please.
Yeah, the Rad Scorpion en croûte. Oh, very French. Mm-hmm.
It is very, that's one of the easier ones for sure. And one I've seen a lot of people make.
It looks delicious.
It looks really
good. Artichoke hearts?
Yes.
Sign me up.
Yes. So good.
Oh, wow. I love that you have the Geiger count. So you took all of these pictures yourself, yes?
Yes, I was extremely lucky. I had a friend who was living in Houston at the time, very outdoorsy and kind of survival gear stuff
Uh-huh.
person, and he had a lot of stuff that I could use. And he was like, "Oh, hey, one of my friends has a Geiger counter. You want to use it?" I was like, "Yes, please." So it was wonderful that we were able to put that in one of the shots and that
That's
they
really
used
cool.
it.
Mm-hmm. I when I was listening to the first Fallout show that Shaline and Rick had done together, I was working in a laboratory at the time, and I did a lot of radioisotope work. So I used a Geiger counter just like that one. Yeah,
Ooh,
it's funny.
fancy.
Geiger counters are like they last a lifetime. Like the people like in the labs where I used to work, they were all using these Geiger counters from the 70s, but
Oh,
they
wow.
still work. They still serve the purpose. They just had to be
Oh,
calibrated
wow.
every few months. So it's funny because like that a Geiger counter like the one you have here would still be used today, no
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, still just as effective. Um, oh man, this is great. Is there any like I see there's some items like the Blamco mac and cheese box and some other things that you have in the pictures. Is there anything that Bethesda sort of gave to you to include in the pictures specifically, or did you just came
No,
up with all these wonderful
no.
ideas?
The only thing they gave like, they're like, here's this little like container of merch, like a cup and like little figures. And I'm like, this isn't gonna work
Yeah.
for photography. And I'm like, thanks, Bethesda. My husband is really good at Photoshop.
Okay.
So there are a few items that are edited in there. I would put
Okay.
I think I put a box of like Kraft mac and cheese. Did not use it, but I put it in the background and I was like, okay, Jeff, it's there. Make it look like Blamco.
Oh,
Nice.
So
you're
there are
revealing all
some
of his tricks.
there's some tricks and stuff. We do it a few times, like that's just a skill we use throughout because I'm not really crafty in terms of like making stuff, but if we could digitally replace it, why not?
That's actually really smart. I never would have thought of that. And like, how many dishes do you have in your kitchen? Like every page has a different dish. Do you just have this smattering of assortments of
I
plates and
I
bowls?
buy sets of 2 dishes a lot of times. Anytime I'm out, I'm like, oh, that dish is really cute. I'll buy this and this just to have them. I have a cabinet full of random dishes and random things, and it just keeps growing.
That's so great. I'm kind of the same though. Like when I see a dish, I'm like, ooh, tenderloin would look really good on this, with some capers or something. And then I end up buying it because it's like $5 or
Yeah,
something or
you're like,
$2.
perfect.
Yeah.
Were there any recipes that they specifically asked you to include in the book? Or was it
They,
entirely your discretion?
a lot of it was my own discretion. We went through and saw what was in the game. Obviously, there's a few items kind of thrown in there that aren't in the game, just kind of inspired by food items you could find. And yeah, we were actually told we couldn't do anything from New Vegas. That one kind of, I had a list of New Vegas recipes in there, and they were like, well, it's technically not Bethesda. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, right, because it's Obsidian.
Yes. So it was very much so like I had a list. I had like the Sunset Sarsaparilla, Cook's Fiend Stew, and I was like, perfect, these are good. And they're like, you can't do those. I was like, okay.
Oh, but you can do them on your blog.
Exactly. And they probably will make an appearance there at some point.
Or maybe Obsidian, Obsidian, if you're listening. There's also the Outer Worlds.
Hello, Obsidian. Please let me do the Outer Worlds cookbook.
Have you played it?
Oh, yes, I did.
And you love it?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's so good.
It took so much longer for me to finish it because I was sitting there. Oh, that's a food item.
Oh, look at those sprats.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I was just like constant. I have a folder of like probably 100
all these
pictures.
ideas.
It's just like, oh my God, look at this.
Oh man, that's so exciting. I'm so hungry now.
That's the danger of like talking with me or like looking at my blog, watching any of my streams. I'm like, hi, I like food. Watch me cook things.
Oh, I love your cooking streams. Like, I have no idea how you have that set up in your kitchen.
It took a
Like,
bit.
you must have all these wires everywhere. Like,
Oh, it is kind of wild. There's definitely like a set of wires that are running like over the fridge, kind of like on the ground. It's just like this is how it works right now.
yeah.
Maybe we'll make a more permanent solution at some point.
Bon appetit. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, the kitchen that like your setup for your streams is really nice because you've got that island, and then you can kind of face, the camera and
Mhm.
have this work surface, but then also you have an overhead of your stove,
Yep.
so people can see things. And then of course dog cam.
Of course, that's the most
So
important camera. There's the dog
right?
cam.
Yes. Tell us about your dog. What is his name?
His name is Kanji. He is 8. He's a corgi. Very adorable dog. Very patient. Usually pretty quiet. So for the most part, unless there's someone at the front door, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a great dog. I mean, I love that he sits in the kitchen and watches me cook, and then people could just like watch him on stream with me.
Yeah, it's so cute. Like he'll be like when he's not in his bed, he'll be like at your feet. Like,
Yeah.
can you
He's
give me
like-
some of that
Like,
chicken?
please, can I have some? May I
I'm
have
sure
a
he
little-"
I'm sure he and your
Um,
husband are part of the same quality control team.
Oh yeah, no, I hear Kanji is actually coming into
Oh.
scene right now. My husband's listening. Wait, there you go.
Doggo vision.
Aw.
Aw.
Kanji.
Oh,
He's like, I'm so
precious.
tired.
He's like, please let me go back to sleep.
That's awesome. So do you know which recipe is Kanji's favorite recipe?
Oh,
It's probably,
unfortunately. Oh, actually, no. There.
Yao
Silly
Guai.
me. No, there's a story. Something that Insight forgot to mention when we were doing the project. January rolls around, they're like, "Oh, we never did a cover shot," and I was like, "Oh, now you're telling me after prime rib is no longer on sale." So I kind of tried. I was like, "Okay, come on, y'all. Where's the recipe? Let me find it." I was like, "Instead, let's do the one that the lamb leg that's in there." I was like, "Let's do that instead." So I purchased a lamb leg that I thought was the right size, cooked it, opened the oven. I was like, "Oh no, this is overcooked.
Oh
This
no.
was not the right size. Oh no, I didn't buy the right. Oh no." And I was like, okay, I called a friend, had them go pick up another one. I was like, "Well, Kanji, you're eating lamb for a week." It was just, I think that would probably be his favorite recipes because it was just like, "Here you go, Kanji, enjoy."
So it was the Yao Guai.
Yes.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
It is funny because then we did another, I took that shot and then they were like, "Oh, the marketing team wants you to do prime rib." I'm like, okay. So we had to do that again, which the annoying part of that one was having to remake the preserved pie twice. And that recipe takes a while. And it's like having to do that. I was like, okay.
You know what?
Yes.
So I did the pie this week.
Ooh.
And I will show you some
Are
pictures.
we going into that now, or?
No, we can do
Okay.
it a little later after the challenge, but I just want to say it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. But I mean I've made cheesecake before, but your recipe is a little bit different with the water, which is a really cool trick.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see the pictures after. But yeah, it was so good.
Oh, it's very good.
It was
But
so
when you
good.
have, after the 5th, I think that one got made 5 times because I made it for my blog at first, and then I had to do new shots for the book. Then they were like, "Oh, the edges look kind of raggedy." There's this method if you use, I guess, dental floss.
Yeah.
If you cut it that way, it makes it a nice little cut.
Why? I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I
like,
remember you saying that.
Yeah, so I looked it up, did it again, and it looked a lot cleaner. And then 2 cover shots. So I was like 5 times. That is another recipe that I've not made again since.
Wow. Jeez. I like everything that I've made so far has been so delicious.
So happy to hear that.
Oh yes, they're fabulous recipes. I mean, you know how people buy cookbooks and then they just sort of end up in a box somewhere,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
and they don't really
I
get
think
used.
everybody
Yep.
has a cookbook drawer in their kitchen.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm totally guilty of that, but I definitely dive into random cookbooks on a random evening. I'm like, you know what? Let's do something new, and I'll pull out, Julia Child's book or Betty
Mhm.
Crocker or something, and just try a totally different recipe.
Mhm.
And this is definitely, I think, a book that I will have the pages tabbed, to go back to. Tonight we're having baked bloat fly, so um, yeah. I haven't subjected any of my family members to my terrible cooking. I'm actually not that. I wouldn't say
No, I'm
that.
sure you're doing just fine. Don't say terrible cooking.
The Scotch eggs were really good. That was the other one that I
Oh,
wanted to mention. Those
yeah,
were
that one is very good.
I had never had Scotch eggs before. Shaline, have you had Scotch eggs?
I haven't. They looked amazing though.
It was like this beautiful deep fried beef layer surrounded by a wonderful hard boiled egg.
It's so
That
good.
it was just amazing. Yeah. It's very good.
Indeed. So we have a question from chat. Van Sylvan asks, which of the recipes was your most out of left field, gorgeously random inspiration?
Ooh. Ooh. From the book. What's that? It's a hard question. Testing me.
You don't
Out
have
of
to
left
limit
field.
it to the Fallout book.
I was just trying to think in general. What
Yeah.
was the most random left field, random inspiration?
Yeah, because I mean, I remember you saying you said that some of the recipes are not. I mean, they're kind of related to the game, but they're not actual food items that you would find.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, like the mutfruit crumble is very much so not an item in the game. So, mutfruit being very popular, I had to make sure that it had to be a berry because it kind of looks berry like.
Mhm.
The image kind of looks a little berry like. So it was like, okay, blueberries, blackberries. What else do we have in here? And then some nutmeg, some general like mixture of things. I think that combination in my head, I was like, oh, that would make sense. That would be mutfruit in some way. And then we make it real nice and we make it a crumble. That inspiration too, there was a lot of like 1950s cooking that I kind of started diving into because that's an aesthetic in the game too. So why not pull from some of the recipes?
Right.
At one point, like actually there's like a few, there's the one casserole in here, the I think it's the broccoli and rice one. Yeah, broccoli and mushroom casserole. There's broccoli and mushrooms. I believe Fallout 2 has them. I might be wrong. But one of them have those items and I was like, well, let's make a casserole. That's like peak 1950s cuisine.
Yeah, casseroles. Yeah, I just realized a lot of the recipes are very sort of vintage like that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The colas and things, and even some of the cocktail. Oh, I can't wait to get into the cocktails. The cocktails are going to be I'm very excited about those.
They're very fun. And this book was definitely the first time I dived into soda making because I had never done it. I'm not a big soda drinker. So
Yeah.
doing the research and being like, soda at home. Well, I wanted to make sure it was just like, okay.
Jeff,
let's
we need a
figure this-
compressor.
So I made sure the biggest thing I was like, I don't want someone to have to go out and buy a soda stream or have to deal with like the carbon and just like,
Right.
let's just make it easy. Buy some club soda, mix it with the syrup, and you're good.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I imagine it would have been really difficult to kind of try to choose items to
Mhm.
include in a recipe, but also the directions, because not everybody is professional cook or chef. And
Yeah, the target audience for this cookbook is probably people who are less experienced with cooking in a lot of ways. I know
Yes.
I definitely fall into that category. I'm not much of a cook.
I know
So-
one of the things people have mentioned with the book is like, oh, there's too many ingredients. There's too many like random ingredients that you have to buy or a lot of spices. And I'm like, well, that's kind of to get you to increase your spice cabinet. So you can use that and kind of let you explore and figure out which spices you like. Because just kind of like trying to push people out of their comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah,
Well, I
sort of a
mean,
bit of a Trojan horse. Fallout is the Trojan horse that includes this new culinary world.
Yeah. I mean, so far it's been pretty standard, you know, cardamom, ginger, baking powder.
Which those might be ingredients like cardamom might be something someone might
Yeah.
have never touched
You
before.
say
it's
that, vendor, there is no cardamom in my house.
oh my
That's
gosh.
not
Add
standard.
that if there's one ingredient people should add into their house, it is cardamom. Use it. It is amazing. It is one of my favorite spices.
Really?
Yeah. It works extremely well in desserts and extremely in curries and stuff too.
So, I mean, just kind of segueing into ingredients. I mean, you had mentioned there was a few dishes, the udon, the rad scorpion, those were your favorite items out of the book. But are there any dishes that you particularly take joy in preparing?
All of them. No.
Oh.
I mean,
Like,
it's always
is there-
joy. Like
Is there any particular dish where you're just like, oh man, I just love cooking this? Like, this was
it's
it was
the
so much.
udon.
It's the udon.
It's the udon. That's the one that when I cook it and I get that bowl afterwards. I'm like, oh, this is my happy place.
So, for our video listeners in the chat, this is what the duck udon looks like.
I love it.
It's absolutely wonderful, and damn, that broth is hard to make.
It's so good.
It is so creamy and delicious and so flavorful. And I never knew that when you cook duck, you put slats in the breasts so that it duck fat is like this magical substance.
I have a jar of duck fat in my fridge.
I'm pretty sure they could like cure cancer with it. It's
yeah,
amazing.
basically, yeah.
But I had no idea that was like a standard thing. Like you would put cut slats in the breast so that it makes the meat a little bit more flavorful and juicy. Yeah, udon is so delicious. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to take us a little bit off the rails because that's what I do. Have you played Breath of the Wild?
Oh my gosh, I love Breath of the Wild.
It's so good, right?
It's very, very good.
And talking with you makes me think of how excellent the food in Breath of the Wild looks. And it's so funny. He just throws all this garbage into the pot and it comes out, just pops out looking perfect.
I wish cooking was that easy. It is not. I've actually done a few Breath of the Wild recipes. So if you check out my food blog, free content.
Definitely will.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Breath of the Wild ones, and the food in that game is it's so beautifully drawn.
Isn't it?
There's
pretty?
such like it's gorgeous.
I think I spent more time testing out recipes in Breath of the Wild than I have ever in real life, or certainly more time than I spent defeating Ganon.
Yes. I got distracted. It was like, let me go find all these ingredients. Oh, here we go. Yep. Let me see what happens when I combine these together. Yes. That's me in every game.
Oh, that is fabulous. I'm so glad to hear that there's some Breath of the Wild on your website. I'm going to check that out for sure. I loved that. What's your dream collab to do another book? What would be the dream?
I have a few. Okay. Now, this one's going to be non-video game related. If I could do Dragon Ball Z, I would die happy. Now, that's like Dragon Ball Z, just a bunch of men yelling. They all eat a lot of food. And there's a lot of food in the anime. The new game has a food mechanic actually in it, where as you eat, you permanently boost stats and stuff. And I was like, that's a dream. Game-wise, there is a series of games from Japan called Yakuza.
Yeah.
They all take place in this the seedy part of Tokyo. There's a lot of food in those games. That's a big one that I would be very happy about doing. I mean, Outer Worlds would be an amazing one to do too. Final Fantasy 15. So yeah, there's a lot that I'd be willing to do.
Have you ever played Monster Hunter?
I have.
Oh my gosh, Monster Hunter World has the best food. I love the little cats and they make
Oh
the
my gosh.
food and
The food is so good looking in there. I should do more recipes from that game. It's been a bit. I think I've done one food and one drink out of that game. But it's, oh my gosh. The
it makes me
animations are so good.
hungry when the little palicos show up with like a giant platter of roast and
Yes.
Shaline, I didn't know that you played Monster Hunter.
yeah, it's great. It's really
We
good.
should totally play that together.
Oh, we should. Do you have Monster Hunter?
No, but I
had no
was
idea.
thinking about getting it, but I was like, I
If
wonder
you get
if
Monster
anyone
Hunter, I will play with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'm excited now.
It's gonna be good.
I'm just perusing your blog, and some of these dishes, I see that you also have some new Outer World recipes.
Yeah.
What is it called now? Saltuna casserole.
I was gonna ask if there was saltuna.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's definitely Saltuna, and I was surprised. Their like official Twitter account was like reposted it, so they know I exist. I'm looking at you, Obsidian.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Saltuna was wild because it's like, what am I gonna make?
Yeah.
Who would have guessed salmon and tuna are very delicious together?
Huh.
That
Yeah,
is
you've
fantastic.
got a lot, like Dragon Ball Z, Final Fantasy, The Witcher 3, recipes from Stardew Valley, even Pokemon. So for our audio listeners, if you would like to try out some of Victoria's recipes and you don't have the Fallout Cookbook, you can find them on her website, pixelatedprovisions.com. And you can also shoot her a follow on Twitter. Her contact information is all on the website there. Heavens, some of these recipes. Oh my God, that glazed salmon. Breath of the Wild glazed salmon, Shaline.
Oh man,
Yep,
that Breath
yeah.
of the Wild food just looks so amazing. I have spent probably easily 150 hours just like experimenting with soups in Breath
Yep.
of the Wild.
Yep.
Just
Oh, I get it. That game kind of makes you do that. It's like, oh my God, why is it all so good?
Oh my gosh. You have 38 pages of recipes.
So that's 7.5 years of stuff. I think it's
wow.
My goodness.
there's
It's just a little bit.
a little bit. I think there's 350-ish recipes up there.
Wow.
Get that free content.
That is quite an accomplishment.
Fantastic.
So I think people pretty much know where they can find the Fallout Cookbook on the Bethesda store. It's also available on Amazon. Are there any other places in where your book for the Fallout series or other books that you have are sold?
I mean, you might find it at your local bookstore. Inside Editions also has it on their website. So there's a lot of options of places for you to pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any other cookbooks that you've worked on?
So I do have another one coming out later this year in August, the Destiny official cookbook. So
Oh
look
my.
forward
That
to
is very
one.
exciting. I love Destiny 2.
It definitely was one of those projects that they approached me about, and I was like, did you say Destiny? Food? I was very like, are you
Right?
sure? Or is this the right game? But as I did the deep dive with my husband, there's definitely a lot of mention of food in there in the lore.
I would never have thought that Destiny had this whole food lore part of it.
I'm
But
like,
then again,
it's-
I never would have guessed like Yakuza.
yeah,
or-
like there's just games that you're like, oh, okay, which ones? Oh, they have food in it. If you find a
Have
way.
you played Overcooked?
I have. I
Oh,
love Overcooked.
It's so good, right?
It's extremely good. The chaos. I know I played it a lot with my husband. We did couch co-op, and it was just like, look at the level. Okay, how do we do this? Okay, you handle that side of the
Yeah.
kitchen. I'll handle this side of the kitchen. Go. And all the food in that game is very delicious.
Yes. I hope that we see some Overcooked recipes.
Oh,
Maybe.
there are a few actually.
Are there? Oh, I'm
Yes.
gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go scroll
Lovely.
through all the pages now.
Is there any
So
Is there
Oh,
any
go ahead,
video game
Shaline.
food that you've ever encountered where you were just like, oh my gosh, what are they even thinking with this? Like, this is ridiculous.
So the one that I did conveniently is a Fallout one. I did the Wasteland the omelet. Is that what it's called in there? Yeah, the Wastelanders omelet. It was described with Mirelurk and like some fruit, and I was like, okay, this is perfect, and cheese in there. So we have an omelet with cheese and smoked salmon and like poached apples and onions, and I was like, what did I do? It's one of those like it's on the site. Don't make it. Don't make that recipe. Do not recommend. It is weird. It is bizarre, and it was one of those. I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Indeed. That's some science. That's how it goes. Yeah. Let's see. So I understand that you're a Twitch streamer. I caught one of your streams the other day. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your Twitch streams?
I do variety streamer. I do both games and cooking streams. The cooking ones are the more exciting ones, I think, because I'm okay at video games. I will go through and either test new recipes, do recipes on my site. I'm trying to start setting up a schedule where I will announce the week before, hey, I'm doing a recipe from the Fallout Cookbook. If you have it, get the ingredients and we'll cook along and at the same time. And you could ask questions as you're in your kitchen and I'm in my kitchen. Something we tested out this week was a pure test. I made croissants and my husband played Dark Souls at the same time. And we had both things happening at the same time. So it was like, oh, perfect. Now we're doing two things. So someone could watch a game and watch me cook a recipe from a game. That's the eventual big goal. Yeah.
Oh.
Very
yeah,
cool.
that would be really neat. I'm gonna have to like catch one of your streams when you're doing a Fallout recipe, and then I'll do it with you, and then I'll talk about it on the show.
Yes, I will make sure to like the next Fallout one. I'll make sure to announce like a week before on like Twitter and say, hey, this is the one I'm doing. Get your ingredients.
It's I've made this like personal pledge to myself that I'm going to complete all of the recipes in this book.
Oh.
Not only because I just want to do it, but also for the show and for the listeners, because it's super fun to do and show these pictures, and it's sort of like our version of Nailed It, because sometimes they don't turn out that great. So, and it's great because I'm slowly like stocking all of these ingredients that I normally don't have in my pantry. But
amazing.
Right?
You are doing what I hope people do in general. I'm very proud of you.
Aw. Thank you. Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen any of Victoria's streams, you should check them out. They're very awesome, very enjoyable.
And what is the Twitch channel for all of our listeners at home?
Pixelated Vika. I'll do a little wave.
I believe it is twitch.tv/pixelated Vika. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's Vika, Vicka.
There you go.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow.
Indeed. Is there anything else that you'd like to chat about, or? Think. What are the questions that you wish we had asked you?
What are the questions I wished you asked me? Oh, my day? No, I'm not going to talk about my day job, which is interesting. I do. I'm a contract worker for NASA, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do UI UX design for AR, augmented reality and virtual reality training for a crew.
Fantastic. That's very cool. I mean, we could do a whole other show just on that. Every time I think about NASA, I think of that wonderful movie with the three ladies and Kevin Costner's in it.
Called
Run something? No. Anyways, it's like set in the 50s and they're like these brilliant the woman is this brilliant scientist and she doesn't fit in with the crowd and she's just paving this way for women in the 50s. Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. So I made a pie. I made the perfectly preserved pie, which turned out okay. I'm a little bit nervous to share this story with you guys. But
Okay.
but should we
Do you want
do
me to cue to the pictures?
should we do the TFS nailed it now? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should do nailed it and probably also challenge and emails before we segue into the news, and we'll finish
Sure.
off with news.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah. So cue the photos.
All right.
Now I gotta scroll to the
Behold.
Shaline, oh gosh. Okay, so there's my mixer. Which is louder than hell, by the way. The KitchenAid mixers, it's like you're driving a tractor in your kitchen. But the perfectly preserved pie was very fun to make. The difficulty in the cookbook is hard, and it says 2 hours prep time, 3 hours cook time, and it serves 8. Although my slices are a little bit bigger, so probably less than that. And apparently it pairs well with red wine, but I didn't try it. So basically, you take heavy cream, vanilla bean, cream cheese at room temperature, sugar, egg, sour cream, pinch of salt, cornstarch, and vanilla extract, and you throw it all in your mixer. Not all at once, of course. So this is a picture of the mixture as I was making it. It turned out very nice, nice and smooth. The KitchenAid mixer is a little bit difficult to move the stuff down the sides to make sure that it's all sort of mixed in.
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to like pause it for a moment and then like scrape it down with a spatula. It's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had to like stop it and then like put the bowl down and then like get it all back in there and stuff. But that was surprisingly easy to sort of put together, and it turned out okay. Then you basically had to take a 9-inch springform pan, which is our next photo. And it's kind of twisted, but you take a 9-inch springform pan and you line the outside with aluminum foil, and then you butter the pan and you add parchment around the sides. Did I do that right?
Yeah, that looks correct.
So this is basically before I had added the water and the cake. So then I poured the cake in. Next photo. Oh wait, that's another.
How is that the mixer?
Where did that
again?
one come from?
That's. Why is that the mixer again?
Oh, there. Oh.
Nope. We don't
Well,
have that
that's
one.
okay. We can skip to this one. So then I poured it in the pan and I threw that in the oven. It was a little bit tough to get the bubbles out, I gotta say. Maybe I didn't mix it enough, but I was pounding the side of that springform pan to try to get the bubbles out. I probably could have been doing it all day. But it turned out pretty good, I think. And then I had to make the strawberry jelly. So as you guys know, with the perfectly preserved pie, there's that beautiful glossy topping that goes over top. And it just looks so heavenly. Well, I live in Canada, and it's winter like 7 months out of the year here. And so I went to the store and I got strawberries. They were like $10. Well, okay, maybe like $7. Still a lot of money for strawberries. But so I made this, and oh my God, Shaline, this smells so good when you make it.
Oh yeah?
And it tastes like heaven. So basically what you do is you throw hulled strawberries, you hull them, and then you throw them in a blender and you puree them, and then you get them boiling in a pot, and then you add a cinnamon stick, sugar, vanilla extract, some salt, cornstarch, and water to thicken it up.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah, and then you let it simmer for about 10 minutes. And you might notice in the pot, it looks kind of brown, kind of like chocolate. But it's not chocolate, because if you go to the next photo, which is, oh, okay, that's the other one with the cinnamon stick. Next. So, oh, there's the cake. So, okay, back up. So that's simmering. Just imagine that that's simmering on the pot and it's all fine. The cake turned out perfect. It turned out perfect. And there's the pie.
That looks wonderful.
Okay, so the jelly did not turn out as red as I would hoped. And
It looks
I thought,
delicious, though.
and I was
It's
thinking to
very
myself,
good.
like, it tasted so delicious. And the buttercream icing turned out perfect also. But I was thinking about it and thinking about it. I'm like, why isn't it as red as it is in the picture? Because it's a nailed it challenge. It has to be like the picture. And it doesn't look like the picture. It kind of looks like the picture, but not that much. Strawberries are out of season here.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And so the centers of them are a little bit lighter than if you had bought them in the summer.
Mhm.
And I think that would you say that that's why?
That probably played a big role in it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're still delicious. I can't even imagine how flavorful it would be if I had used in season strawberries. So that was kind of unfortunate.
I still think it looks amazing.
But it turned
Look at
out
that.
great. It turned out great.
I
And
think
it was,
you nailed it. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
you
gonna
nailed
What
it.
do
say you nailed it.
yeah, nailed it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Aw, that's great. Well, Shaline, I would send you a piece, but it would probably end up in some sort of slurry at the
Well,
bottom
it
of a
is
box.
perfectly preserved, so
Oh, right,
it
right.
might get here. You know, it lasted 200 years in those little machines, just waiting to be devoured. People have died waiting for this pie to come out of the machine. You know, we've found numerous skeletons just reaching up towards the globe of the pie dispenser. So, indeed, I think it was worth the wait for those who were able to obtain the pie. And Vendor, I think you did amazing. I think it looks
Yeah, it was
fabulous.
delicious. The cheesecake is perfect. It really is. I'm a huge fan of cheesecake. My favorite is just a classic New York style no bake. Like I could just sit there and eat a whole pan of it. It's so bad. The cheesecake was very good. The strawberry drizzle was like, I want to put it on everything now.
Yeah, because I'm
Like-
sure you end up with a little extra, I think, compared to what you need for the pie. Yeah, just put it on ice cream. Put it
Oh,
on,
I've got a
on
whole
yogurt.
container.
Yeah, just put it on everything.
I'm gonna put it in my coffee. The buttercream also turned out really nice. I love
very good.
buttercream icing. I just love buttercream icing. I didn't go a little too over. I didn't go a little heavy on the caramel because I'm not a fan of caramel. But I did add a little bit of caramel flavor in there, and
And you know
it
what?
turned out wonderful.
That's a good call. I think that's the biggest thing people should realize with cooking. Recipes are kind of suggestions. Dessert, follow those desserts a little closer if you're new to like the dessert realm. But if you know you don't like caramel, keep it down. Don't
Yeah.
put too much.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
You know, there is one thing that I did find unusual about this recipe, though.
Yeah.
There's no crumble.
There's no crumble on the photo of the perfectly preserved pie.
That's right.
That's
And
why I went that direction.
Right? And I was thinking about, I'm eating it and I'm like, wait a minute. There's no like graham wafer crumble.
Mhm.
And then I looked at the picture. I'm like, there is no crumble with the perfectly preserved pie. And it's not something that I never thought about because
Yeah.
like cheesecake usually has some sort of crumble.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think that's why it ended up getting like a hard rating because it's like usually there's a crumble and that kind of saves you from like
Mhm.
having to worry.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do it without it and let's see. And yeah, it works out quite well.
It's a little it's interesting. I can understand why you chose to leave that out, obviously. And did you think of any other types of cakes or pies to make this? Because it's a perfectly preserved pie.
Right, it's a pie.
But it's actually technically a cheesecake.
But what is a cheesecake? That's what I
Is-
always wonder. Is it a cake? Is it a pie? Like cheesecake's in this weird realm of things. Because it's like, well, a pie, it doesn't have a crust. So how am I going to make a pie? So it was a whole thing. And I was like, you know what? It looks like a cheesecake. I'm running with this.
Well, I'm glad because it's delicious. So
Excellent.
yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. That's the TFS Nailed It challenge. What I have to do now is I have to pick a new recipe.
This is one of my favorite segments of the show.
So, are you ready, guys? Are you ready?
am.
Okay, I'm just gonna yeah. Mulled pears. We're making
We were
mulled
talking about it.
pears. Yeah, it's because we talked about it. So this will be fun. It's easy to make.
Mhm.
10 minutes, 30. Oh yeah, this is gonna be
It's gonna be
great.
real easy. Yeah.
I just hope that I can get pears that are in season.
Yeah, we're leaving the pear season like it was fall, so yeah, we'll be fine.
two steps in this recipe. I think I can handle that. I'm gonna have to get some star anise though. And cardamom pods. I only have the
both of those will make more appearances throughout the recipe, so
so get stock up on it is what you're saying?
don't get a lot, but get a good amount. And they
Okay.
store well in the pantry. They don't go
Yeah.
bad.
Ah, great. Perfectly preserved pie. On the next episode of that Fallout show, you guys can expect that for the TFS Nailed It challenge.
Lovely. And
Yeah.
feel free to cook along with Vendor and send us photos from home.
Yes,
your
I
own
will
cooking adventures.
are we allowed to post am I allowed to post photos of the book?
Probably not.
At least not the recipe.
Really?
I mean,
Oh.
people do
Okay,
it.
so go and buy the book, everyone. Buy the book.
I
And
mean, if
then you can
posted
cook
it, yeah.
along.
Yeah, then you could join on us. Yeah, I don't
And
know
then you
what
can
the
cook
actual
along.
rules are, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that would be probably not something that would be entirely legal to do. So
I
we're not
forgot-
gonna do that.
I forgot to post pictures of the pie though on Twitter today. Didn't get a chance to do that, but I will do that later for all of our audio listeners who missed the pictures.
Indeed. And we had a couple of listener emails that we'd like to go into while we have you here. So Banana Nana Nandon writes in and says, "What is the most overrated ingredient and most underrated ingredient?"
Overrated, bacon. I'm gonna say it. It's good,
Really?
but I think it gets overused sometimes. It's delicious. Underrated, black garlic.
Oh my god. Black garlic.
I use it in everything I can now. It's
Black
so
garlic is
good.
out of this world. And you know what? I forgot to tell you. I put black garlic in the udon.
Oh my gosh,
In the duck udon.
that sounds
Yeah.
good.
And it turned out very good.
I'm doing that the next time I make it.
I'm sorry I deviated from your recipe, but I just had to.
No, that's what I said. That's the beauty of recipes. They're a suggestion. Follow it and then make changes as you go.
Black garlic.
So tell me about black garlic.
Black garlic is garlic that has been fermented, basically. So you leave it out like in a I've seen it with dehydrators or rice cookers, and you let it sit in there for about 8 to 10 weeks until it turns black. Now you can get it bought that way already at a grocery store, but it has just this rich umami, like deep flavor that it's just so good. It's amazing. It is pricey if you buy it already pre-done.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out. That's not something I'd heard of.
Wait, so do you ferment your own black garlic?
Okay, I'm trying to convince my husband to buy a dehydrator.
Because this is like a 6-month commitment. You do know that, right?
Yeah, it's about it's 8 to 10 weeks of just letting it sit there. I've gone through and like told my husband Jeff, I'm like, let's just buy one. We'll buy like 12 things of garlic and just let it go. Think of all the money we'll save in the long run.
I
The
discovered
initial cost.
Yeah. I had looked into the same thing. I was on Amazon looking at garlic fermenters, and it was just this. And then I realized that my Asian supermarket TNT, they sell black garlic in just these little containers for like $6, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do that then.
Yeah, it's like I could go out and buy it and whatnot, but I've definitely like recently been like, oh, should I go down that dark road of just like buying the dehydrator and having that in the house now?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Vendor is eating his perfectly preserved pie live on the stream.
I'm just eating some pie. It's so good.
I'm so jealous.
I'm really sorry.
Banana Nana Nandon also asks, what would be the best tasting ingredient in the Fallout universe and the worst tasting ingredient?
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
So the best tasting, go based on the recipes.
Oh
Radical.
man.
No, let's see. Actually, what did we put here? Okay, the cheating answer is to say Brahmin, right? That's going to be pretty much like beef. Beef's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If we want a more interesting answer, I'd say mut fruit's probably pretty good. Who doesn't want a bunch of mixed berries all at once? Worst tasting one. It would have to be something from the water. Because sometimes water can be funky.
Yeah. Gulper slurry for the worst. Radstag Rudy says in the chat.
That could be a possibility.
A
I think
contender
the
for
Gulper
sure.
slurry and there's very good. Like in the book is good. I cheated. But probably if I was actually using Gulper, it would probably be pretty bad.
I
I
feel like
forgot about the gulpers.
if we're talking about worst like food items in Fallout, I feel like we would have to be talking about like the cannibal perk used with ghouls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Boy, I'm glad that didn't make it into the book.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to need you to chop your neighbor up
Just, the quick nibble.
and,
Come on.
and hit frappe.
There was no Andale strange meat pies. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
I can't help myself.
The chat is they're all piping in now. Tim Twig says rad roach, of course, it would be a little crunchy. Grilled rad roach, again. Tatoes were canonically pretty horrible tasting. I'd eat ghoul over rad roach. Kawaii banana sushi.
Well,
is
that's
saying.
kind of
actually,
horrifying.
Brad Roach is a good answer.
Heavens.
Who wants to eat
And it's
No,
a
I'm thinking-
huge roach too. Like
Yeah,
you're not just eating a
no.
roach. You're eating a roach that you have to like carve and slice and
Yeah, that's a good answer, y'all. You nailed it.
Although they would be high in protein, Joshy Neurotic says.
That's
So,
a good
you know,
point. Many.
there's that.
I mean, we could also say the same about humans with the cannibalism, right? Good in protein.
Right?
Don't do that.
Ugh. Well, I wasn't the only one who took pictures of food. And thank you guys for sending in the emails. We do have another one though. Yes, Shaline?
right. Yes, this one came from Moxie, and Moxie says, "I just wanted to share the cake my roommate made using recipes from the Fallout Cookbook for my birthday. Everything turned out great. Can't wait to try more recipes out." And there's the cake, and
Oh
she put
my
a couple
gosh.
of Funkos on top. Isn't
That's
that cute?
amazing.
That
Yeah,
looks
let me
so
just,
good. Those little mushroom clouds are perfectly done.
Aren't they
Yeah, no,
precious?
I am impressed by that. That is amazing.
They did a
And
great
s-
job.
Work,
What is the
Moxie.
what is the blue sprinkle that's on there? Oh, I'm gonna have to try this.
Yeah, I
now.
would say that it's probably food coloring. I don't know. I don't know.
'Cause that
Yeah,
looks-
because in the book you have the mushroom clouds, but the cake is not. That the cake is.
I'm trying to think. Did they use the quantum like frosting?
Maybe.
It's probable. Yeah,
Probably.
it looks delicious. I really want to make those little mushroom clouds though. It's
so
interesting
cute.
that the recipe calls for cream of tartar.
So that's one of the recipes that I think I was told kind of had to be included because it was a recipe in the Fallout 1 manual.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was that one, and I think the desert salad is another one.
Mhm.
Those were two recipes. I forgot about that, but yeah, those were two recipes that were like, oh, we need to make sure we have those because those were there before. Now they're a
Right.
little adjusted, but yeah.
That is so great.
Hmm.
Well, Moxie,
Well,
your roommate
Shaline?
did an amazing job. So
That is amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's wonderful. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah.
And,
If any of you would like to send us some more emails, all you have to do is go to your email inbox, of course, and send an email to info@wejustlovegames.com, and we will read them out on the show.
indeed. Now, Vendor, I believe we had a bit of a hodgepodge for our challenge this week. Do you want to talk about that?
We did. So on the last episode of that Fallout show, This is now we're segueing into our regular scheduled program. But on the last episode of that Fallout show, we asked you guys to send in pictures of your New Year's resolutions. And then we also got overly excited that Victoria was going to be joining us. And we also asked you to send in pictures of food, which we had showed Moxie's picture as well. So there are some of those. And then we also have some new billboards that are cropping up in the Wasteland.
love the billboards. I love them so
which,
much.
As you guys know, the billboard challenge has been so popular that we had so many pictures that we couldn't include them all in one show. And so we are now just including them by default when they come up.
The billboard challenge is eternal. Keep them coming.
Yeah. And thank you to our new listeners who have pursued and followed up with the billboards, discovering them in the Wasteland. But I guess we should roll into our challenge.
Let's check it out. Okay. So, this is terrible. Let me just fix this. Okay. This one is from Sora. Sora PL. Call me old-fashioned, but there's no better way to stay in shape than boxing at Jungle Gym. And they did their challenge in the original Fallout. So this little boxing ring, I thought that was pretty fabulous.
Little exercise for that New Year's resolution, I assume.
Indeed.
Nice.
And Staged Link sent one in. I've been spotting this guy all night and he just won't move. And there is a skeleton on the weight bench that he's standing behind.
That's hilarious.
It's very clever. Very clever. And this one, you guys.
So this one comes from I can't remember.
I have no idea. We're gonna work on it. Wasteland Baker.
Wasteland Baker. Okay, you can drag it over my picture.
I
Shaline,
can't.
I
can't.
Okay.
Wasteland Baker says, my first glass of Nuka-Cola had my doubts the browning sauce would get it that dark. Excellent work, Pixelated Vika. Now, I honestly can't remember if I did this for a Fallout, that Fallout show TFS challenge, or if it was just on my to-do list. And Wasteland Baker is a baker, hence the name. So that's some lovely fresh.
I love the bread flecks in the background.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's
Indeed.
like sourdough.
Lovely,
That's
lovely.
good looking bread.
Yes.
And the cola.
They
I
did-
love it.
Amazing.
So that I assume that was the Nuka Cola.
Mhm.
Did I miss that? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've got a billboard. This one is from Lumami, Seraphine Lou. A long overdue billboard from TFS. Check me out up in the Toxic Valley sometime. And this billboard has the pink neon lights. It says, listen to the Fallout feed and that Fallout show podcasts. So
Nice.
that is quite
Thanks.
fabulous.
Thanks for the billboard.
Indeed. I love them.
I can't imagine how long it took to get all those letters.
Yes, it's
probably
it can be
quite a
very
grind.
fussy. This is from Noel Brickle. Lol, was there a TFS challenge for getting fit as a New Year's resolution? Maybe I'm crazy. And this is an image of their character in the Vault Boy head riding a stationary bike. So,
I just love it.
yeah.
It's great. I love the gyms. I love that you can put gyms in. Like that is just
Oh yeah.
Isn't it great? This one's Archon and I. We stopped in Morgantown to get some cardio in for the TFS challenge. So we're in Morgantown in the college on a couple of stationary bikes.
I like how there's showers behind the stationary bikes. So, you know, if you get too sweaty, you just have to slip right off the bike into the shower. No problem.
I actually took some photos in the shower afterwards of my little character, but I decided not to include those because this isn't that kind of a show.
Gosh.
So, it is funny though. Archon is dressed in his Grognak loincloth to work out in. So
Ooh,
yes,
appropriate.
indeed. It's really funny. I am wearing my Girl Scout skirt. So that's that. And that's our challenge entries for this week. So it was a bit of a hodgepodge, but it was delightful. Fender, do we have another challenge prepared?
We don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for next time, please stand by.
We will post a challenge for you guys on social media.
We will. We'll post that in Discord and on Twitter.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you, Vendor. Shall we roll into the news?
I think it's time for some news.
I have to do the Rick voice. The news.
If you like news, you're gonna love our next segment.
Vendor, what's going on in the world of Fallout?
Oh, Shaline, so much is happening in Bethesda's world and the world of Fallout in general. Do you remember on the last episode of that Fallout show how we talked about players in Fallout 76 ended up getting hacked?
Yes, that was
And
so
and you
stressful.
know, they got pickpocketed, lost some things, everybody was up in arms.
It was crazy.
And of course, because the Bethintern listens to that Fallout show, and we were talking about how we think Bethesda should really compensate players in such a way. Well, they were listening because Bethesda is compensating players who were hacked in Fallout 76. And so somehow they lost items to some sort of bug that allowed entire inventories to be stolen. Bethesda is going to compensate players who found themselves victims of this bug back in December. And Bethesda generally shies away from replacing items which are somehow lost, providing any kind of repayment for the inconvenience unless it's directly involves some sort of paid subscription service. But this issue was so pervasive that it seems that Fallout, the Fallout developer, Bethesda, had no choice but to act, of course. So basically, this threat happened during the Deathclaw or Scorch Beast events in which devious individuals took advantage of a glitch in the game to steal people's entire inventories. Hundreds of players were affected. Shaline, I'm not sure if you were one of them.
No.
Or Victoria, I don't think that you had mentioned that you haven't got 76 installed at the moment. So you're in the clear on that one. I am too. It is unclear how big of an impact, how many people were affected. It only affected inventory, so stash boxes were safe from hackers. But many players called for the game to be taken down until a fix was implemented. Bethesda patched the issue, and they encouraged players who had their items stolen to file support tickets to Bethesda. And they typically refuse to replace items, as I had mentioned. But when Fallout First subscribers lost all their junk thanks to a bug in October, the company let the cat out of the bag that they fixed the bug and replaced the items for characters. So basically, over the last month, Bethesda has kept its word and has been restoring player items lost during the hack in December. It's unclear what kind of formula the company is using to determine the number of atoms in which they're going to give away to players that were affected. Some people have reported different amounts of compensation. One player posted a screenshot of an email that said they would receive 8,000 atoms, over 8,000 atoms for all of the items that were lost. Another player had posted a screenshot showing they would get 5,000 atoms and 3 months of Fallout First. So I'm not sure what kind of algorithm they're figuring out for that, but I think it's really good that Bethesda is, taking a knee on this one and helping the community out. People put in a lot of time and effort grinding to get these items, but I'm not sure how I feel about not being able to get the exact items that were lost back. Some of these items are special items that you can't get anymore. That were part of events and things.
Yeah, but what they did to replace the items was create a clone of a previous version of your character, so that you could trade the items to.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So what do you think about that, Shaline? What do you think about that, ladies?
It seems
Normally I
like
say Shaline and Rick, but
it seems like a bit of a complicated workaround, but it works. I mean, you guys asked on the last episode what, in my opinion, would be adequate compensation for losing all your stuff, and my answer was that I just wanted the stuff back. That's I would just want my stuff back if it was me.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good that they're making a duplicate character so you can get those items back. Because getting digital currency is not going to replace that event item. So it's
Right.
good that they did that even.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I mean, that's not the only new thing coming out of Bethesda. We all have heard and are anticipating for Wastelanders, the Wastelanders DLC. A lot of people are thinking that this is going to pull them back into the game, those who have left, myself included. Testing for Wastelanders begins this week, you guys, which I'm pretty excited about. Actually, this article's a little bit old. This comes from PC Games, posted 11 days ago by Andy Chalk.
Yeah, testing started on Monday as we're
But
recording
testing,
this. Yeah.
yes, testing had started on Monday. And a small number of Fallout 76 players have the opportunity to see what the update will deliver. And they're doing this by way of a private test server. And Shaline, are you allowed to say that you have?
I think that people are allowed to say that they're in, but that's it. That's all that they can say about it. And I can confirm I'm not in. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean
I'm sorry.
that's okay. It's okay. It's probably better not to be in right away because now it'll be fixed by the time that I
Yeah.
get to play it. Hopefully. Right?
That's
Right.
always a hope, right?
For those of you who may have gotten some sort of notification or want to be a part of it, testing will be only on the PC. Sounds are, Bethesda is saying that the sounds are going to be pretty restrictive, so players will be invited to take part, will be required to sign an NDA, and not allowed to stream, record, or even discuss the test sessions. So, but the testing that will take place, of course, will include the Wastelanders specific development of the game build. And so, of course, encounter issues. That's the whole part of testing. So, you know, don't freak out if you run into problems, because that's the whole point. They're going to use a few hundred players. They did say that they didn't say whether or not they would actually expand that number as testing continues throughout the week.
I would be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, me too. But the plan is to keep the private test server online full time, rather than running scheduled sessions. So this might be a good thing. This might be a good thing for us. But so it's too bad that you didn't get a chance to get in on the test server. Had you applied, Shaline?
Oh yeah, of course I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of those instances of like break your finger clicking the link so fast, you know, just
Yeah, it's I had applied too, but I also did not get in. But let's see what else is coming out from inside the vault here. We've got the Wastelanders. There is a lot of new pictures that Bethesda has released of NPCs. NPCs, you guys. Factions. There's some new camp infrastructure as well. They show a picture of a raider camp here. By what is that satellite, that spaceship thing?
The crashed space station is the only
Is
name I know
that's
for
what
it.
it's called? It looks really cool.
It's fascinating to me that Wastelanders is going to fundamentally change the world, the game's world. No longer will we go to that abandoned space station. It's going to be full of raiders. You know, it's from now on, it'll be different. It'll be different there. And that's fascinating.
Bethesda has stood by what they are saying, that this is going to be a free update. They're very excited about Wastelanders as it's coming together. And it's going to be, they're going to need some more time for it to be the best. So those of you who do have the private test server access, play it, test it out, help Bethesda develop something really great that we can all enjoy.
Fix it for me specifically.
Yeah.
Get it working so that I can have a good experience.
Unfortunately, they have also announced that they are delaying its release until the first quarter of next year. So
that was in the fall that happened.
I was going to say next
oh wait,
year.
this article is out of date.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah.
I grabbed the wrong link here.
That's okay. That's
Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. Well, when can we expect Wastelanders, Shaline?
We don't
Clearly,
have
I'm
a specific
uninformed.
date. We don't have a specific date, but we're expecting it in the late spring. So
Ah,
I
okay.
would guess probably late March, maybe April.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not later than May.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I think Wastelanders may potentially bring me back into the Fallout 76 universe.
I can agree with
Um,
that. Yeah.
At
How
the
do you
very
feel
least,
about
everybody needs to give it a try.
how do you feel about it, Victoria? How do
I
you
mean,
feel about Wastelanders and Fallout 76?
I picked up Fallout 76 when it came out, played it a bit. I really had a fun time with my friends. Kind of, there was a lot of bugs. There was a few things that just kind of like stopped us from playing, I think. When you would do a quest and then the game would crash and then you'd be back like 30 minutes. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is kind of broken. Now, I've had it uninstalled since then, but I know this Wastelanders one has been one that I've been waiting for. Just the possibility of them finally having NPCs and maybe some kind of like substance to it. So I'm like
Yeah.
excited for that.
Yeah. I have to say I'm excited too. NPCs is a really important component of all the Fallout games.
Very much so.
And I felt a little bit empty not having that
Agreed.
there. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. But while the clock is ticking and we're waiting for Bethesda to come out with the Wastelanders edition, so is the Doomsday Clock.
The IRL Doomsday Clock. Just to
Yes.
clarify, this is a Fallout IRL story.
Yes, this is a public service announcement. The Doomsday Clock has now been moved closer to midnight. So the clock is now 100 seconds to midnight. And scientists and prediction models, what I can assume to be, claim that this is because of the climate crisis. So this is now the closest that the Doomsday Clock has been moved to the apocalypse since it was first started in 1947 to warn of the dangers of nuclear war. So the clock is 100 seconds to midnight. And the president and the CEO of Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists says that we are now expressing how close the world is to catastrophe in seconds, not hours, not minutes. And this comes from Rachel Brosnan, the president and CEO of Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. And she said this in a press briefing on Thursday this week. She also mentioned that it is the closest that the clock has ever been in history of the Doomsday Clock. We now face a true emergency, an absolutely unacceptable state of the world affairs that has eliminated any margin of error or further delay. So this is a little bit scary. I'm not that familiar with the Doomsday Clock. Shaline, can you fill me in?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's just a sort of a symbolic mechanism that some of the world's great minds have used to sort of tell people how serious things are in the world, how serious is the state of the world right now. And it was a big tool, especially during the Cold War, towards showing people we're this close from nuclear annihilation. You know, this could happen. This is a thing that could happen. So it's just a symbolic tool that these people use to illustrate.
Yeah. On the nuclear front, the group of scientists that have developed this sort of this clock have cited several concerning foreign policy developments, which included increased tensions between U.S. and Iran, the continued stockpile of uranium after the U.S. pulled out of the nuclear deal. They also mentioned the official end of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces (INF) treaty, which has led to the U.S. and Russia to begin developing previously banned weapons. Also, one of the most important topics moving into the next decade, climate change. They also called out the government for withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, the U.S. government, and as well the government of Brazil for weakening protections against or over the Amazon rainforest. So, but they also spoke about general failures of world leaders to make any significant progress at the UN Climate Action Summit, and that was in I think that was in Madrid. But yes, it is a little disheartening. They did say, however, that there were things that world leaders and citizens could do to move the clock backwards again. So when it comes to the environment, they are recommending that world leaders recommit themselves to the goals of the Paris Agreement, and the U.S. citizens and citizens everywhere, I think, pressure their government to acknowledge climate change actively and address it. And so they're really, you know, they need to. They're really. This is a cry for help, right? Ask the world leaders to join them in 2020 in pulling humanity back from the brink. Rachel Robinson, the CEO and president of this organization, said the Doomsday Clock now stands at 100 seconds to midnight, the most dangerous situation that humanity has ever faced. Now is the time to come together, to unite and act. So interesting. This article came to us from Olivia Roseanne out of EcoWatch. So thank you, Olivia, for contributing that piece of work. So that's a little bit of IRL. I got some more IRL. You guys want to hear about that?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, so we actually we there was somebody in our Discord who brought this to my attention. I think it was Will Wonka, maybe.
No.
I can't remember. Somebody had woken up into an alarm on their phone that said that there was some sort of nuclear accident in Pickering, Ontario. Imagine waking up and there's an alert, a government alert on your phone, that you know there was something wrong, some sort of nuclear incident at the Pickering nuclear plant. Now Pickering, if you don't live in Canada, Pickering is 30 minutes outside of Toronto, and apparently there was thousands of people within the radius of this plant that got this 10 kilometers, I believe, radius of this plant that got this notification. However, they retracted that statement later in the day, saying no abnormal release of radioactivity came from the station. The alarm was actually false, and it was triggered falsely. So this was initially sent to people around 7:30 in the morning, and advising people to take proactive actions. And by 8:30, they had sent a message saying that it was an error. Like, thank God, right? Don't
That
worry.
had to be like the
kidding.
longest hour ever.
Right? What do? You get a text message that says there's some sort of nuclear incident. Okay, that's totally vague, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to sit there and you're like, what?
Yeah, and it didn't give like specific instructions, did it? It didn't say evacuate, or it just said
Well, no. But the city of Pickering's official Twitter account tweeted out that there was no danger to the public despite the alert, which was quite reminiscent of the more the recent thing about the ballistic missile threat alert that was sent to Hawaiians. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was very scary.
That was just last year, I believe. Yeah. So I would imagine it was the same sort of feeling. You wake up, you get this message, you're like, oh my God, pack my bags, we got to go. Like,
get to the vault.
I would have been so mad because I would have just packed everything up and been gone. And then an hour later, driving an hour outside of the city, I get this message. Oh, it's fine. I'll go back home now. Like, ugh. Anyways, so that's interesting for Canadians, particularly because nothing really interesting happens in Canada except snow. So, but more interestingly, scientists are working to develop a battery out of nuclear waste. So they are attempting to transform old nuclear waste into batteries that they estimate could last for thousands of years. So this is really cool. This research is coming out of the UK. the University of Bristol, a team of researchers who are leading this project there. So we will watch this closely and report back on this. But basically, they're using nuclear waste from carbon-14 isotopes, which are produced by plants and infused with water-thin diamonds, in which they're thinking that they could use to create these batteries. And they have this near infinite basis, they call it, which is like infinite power. Infinite power. Can you imagine like buying a phone and like
Never having to charge it.
never having to charge it?
Oh, like a dream. Sounds wonderful.
Like no more cords. No more hanging over the side of your bed, you guys.
Oof.
I think that's absolutely worth the risk of having nuclear waste in my phone.
Agreed.
Well, they claim that the diamond batteries will be encased in a non-radioactive diamond layer, which actually absorbs any radiation given off by the C14 source and makes them safe to use. So this is really important, especially for use in the medical field and for consumer devices like cell phones.
Right. What if they could get one of those like in a pacemaker? My grandpa wore out like 2 pacemaker batteries and had to have them replaced. And
Yeah.
it was not a good experience. So that could be life-changing for people.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, think of the impact that they would have on the environment, being able to recycle that nuclear waste.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great story. Rolls-Royce is also doing some really great things. You guys know Rolls-Royce, really fancy cars.
Oh, yes. I
Jet
have 6 in the
engines.
garage.
I knew it. So I found this article on online magazine called Builder. Rolls-Royce is basically they're trying to find a way to make nuclear microreactors. We've talked about this previously on previous episodes of that Fallout show. Mini reactors are there's like this space race for mini reactors, and I believe there's one being tested in northern Canada on a small remote community. It was previously estimated that these reactors would last about 10 years without having to be repowered, which is pretty amazing. But Rolls-Royce is leading the way with nuclear microreactors, in which they're going to be testing throughout UK, England. So that's exciting. I think that that could change power needs forever. There isn't too much on this story, just that they're leading the way on it, but we will probably report back more on that. I don't know how I feel about this, like microreactors on like every street corner.
That's basically the plot of pre-war Fallout. That's
They're like, that's the path they took.
Like, how many fusion cores?
Yeah, that's how we got Mr. Handy and the Fusion Flea.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, what if something bad happens and somebody's home is flooded with radiation and yeah, I don't know.
Well, at least we
Anyways.
know they have an adequate alert system to let us know.
Canadian nuclear alert says, "Oh, hey, I think something's wrong. Hold on a sec. We just got to check.
Sorry.
Sorry about that." Oh man. So there we are. But Arizona's doing great things, unlike Canada. They're selling missile silos. Have you ever wanted to live in a missile silo?
Yes. They're selling missile silos in Arizona?
Yeah. So there are 2 more nuclear missile silos for sale in Arizona. One silo has sold within weeks, but the other one is still up for grabs. It's on a 13-acre underground silo located in between. Oh no, I've got an ad. I can't read the rest of it. It's located in between Phoenix and Tucson, and will be selling for $420,000. So
Okay, well, yeah.
Location.
Somebody needs to buy this, and we'll convert it into the That Fallout Show Clubhouse. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, if I win the lottery this weekend, we're gonna put our studio in there.
Yes,
and
I love it.
we'll build in a room for Victoria so she can come and do all of her Fallout recipes in the
Perfect.
bunker. Yeah.
And we'll all be safe from the nuclear disaster. It'd be
And
good.
then we can taste all the delicious. Yeah. Like your husband has got the sweetest deal. Like
See, yes, he's a food tester, but he's also he washes so many dishes. That's the way he pays for it. It's just like, please clean this mess I've made.
Oh man, that's great. Well, these if you do want to pick up an underground silo, you can. Did I say $420,000? They're Cold War silos, so the Titan II missile program that began in 1963, which was decommissioned in the 80s. There's still 50 Titan II sites. 18 of them are actually in Arizona, southern Arizona. Most have been purchased by private buyers since that time.
And all of these people are converting them into vaults, right? Like that's
totally.
It has to be the case.
I wouldn't be surprised if Archon, if that was the whole reason why he moved to, Arizona, he just lives in a bunker.
Yes, I can see that happening as well.
Anyways, that's what I got for the news. Do you want to hear about what's going on in the Atomic Shop?
I'd love to. I didn't install the music. Do 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 do.
I will roll through this very quickly, you guys, because there isn't too much to report. But coming out of the Atomic Shop this week, they've added a whole new host of items to the Atomic Shop, the Nuka World shirt is available until February 4th. There are some limited time offers as well. You can still pick up the Nuka Dark Power Armor paint till February 11th. And then the Nuka-Cola lamp and wallpaper set you can pick up until February 4th. Some new items that you will expect to see or will already be able to see is the Nuka-Cola freezer refrigerator, the Nuka-Cola mascot statue, as well as the large Nuka-Cola and Nuka Quantum bottles. And they look wonderful. Those Nuka Quantum bottles are just... I still have my Nuka Dark here somewhere. Giant bottle. Some items that are returning back to the Atomic Shop. Down Home Dweller Bundle, January 28th. You'll see that. Nuka Girl Rocket Suit and the Nuka-Cola Backpack will be returning as well. And they will not only be returning, they will be on sale, 30% off. You can also head over to the Vault, where you will find the Bloody Arctos Refrigerator, Vampire Outfit, Free State Sign Set, Megaton Hairstyle, Bewitching Player Icon, Frankenboy Player Icon, Mummy Dearest Player Icon, the Vamp Boy Player Icon, as well as the Witch Way Player Icon. Those are all on sale, and the sale ends January 28th at midnight Eastern Standard Time. And lastly, there are some weekly offers, so you can pick up the Scrap Kit times 20 and Repair Kit times 20 until the 28th. Lots of 20s in there. Postman Outfit, you can pick that up till January 22nd. Contemporary Rug till the 23rd. Seep Squatch Plushie till the 24th. On the 25th, the Fruit Hat, the Wiffle Bat Skin on the 26th. Hay Bales on the 27th. And lastly, the Lunch Player Icon. So that's it for the Atomic Shop weekly update. I'm sorry we didn't have any bumper music. It's so fluffy and enjoyable.
I got the rideable Giddy Up Buttercup from the
Oh, you did? Oh,
and it plays a little song, and I put on my cowgirl outfit, the skin tight white pants. I was riding my Giddy Up Buttercup. It was glorious. It was just glorious. So good.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Well, that's all I got for you, Shaline.
Okay, well, that was a show. Thank you so much for joining us, Victoria. It was lovely.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been also really cool to have you on as like a fourth host. Third host, because Rick's not here, but we love you, Rick. He's in the chat sending all his love.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of your stories.
Thank you for making recipes for my book. Whenever I see pictures of people making recipes, I'm so happy. It's like, yes, I've reached someone. I've done it.
it's really cool to be able to make those recipes and then like have you comment on them. Because you're like, oh yeah, watch out for this, or use dental floss, or it's like, oh, why didn't I think of
Little
that?
tips.
Yeah, it's great.
Indeed. Well, join us next week for Game Stack Podcast, and join Rick and I this Sunday for a new episode of Survival Horror Sunday. I'm not sure if we're going to be returning to Dead Space or if we're going to move on to something different. It's been a long time since we've picked up that series. Yeah, this is a series in which I get very scared of horror games. Very scared. So Rick plays them and I watch and heckle and it's glorious. We're gonna do Resident Evil 7? No! Rick, no! Okay, we're doing Resident Evil 7 for Survival Horror Sunday. I'm gonna be very scared. But Resident Evil tends to have pretty good puzzles. So I do enjoy being the puzzle solver of the duo.
Oh my god, I almost forgot. By the way, sorry, Shaline. National Pie Day, it's coming up. 3.14.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess Bethesda's getting a head start on it because the cookbook is on sale in the Bethesda store. Somebody in the chat was just asking where they can get the book, and just so you guys know, it's $28. Well, it's, I don't know how much that is in freedom dollars. It's $28 Canadian, which is like $3 American.
It says $28 American. So
Oh,
you guys,
really?
I guess, are getting the deal too.
Wow, no kidding. Yeah, so it's on sale right now in the Bethesda store if you guys want to pick that up. Sorry, I just wanted to add that to the announcements.
Lovely, thank you. And of course, you can find us on Twitter. Victoria is Pixelated Vika, Vicka, You can find the podcast at That Fallout Show. You can find the network at We Just Love Games. Rick is Rick McVick. I am Shaline L. And Vendertron is Vendertron In. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/thatfalloutshow, facebook.com/group/thatfalloutshow. And We Just Love Games is on Facebook at facebook.com/wejustlovegames, facebook.com/groups/wejustlovegames. Email us at info@wejustlovegames.com and we will read your email on the air. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wejustlovegames. We record the show live on twitch.tv/wejustlovegames, which is also where you can find us for our streams such as Survival Horror Sunday or the Days of Our Life is Strange series that Vendor and I finished last week, which was very exciting. So definitely check us out there, and also follow Pixelated Vika on Twitch for Victoria's streams. I definitely want to check out one of the cooking streams. Find our show on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever fine podcasts are given away, and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. I mean, if you like the show. If you don't like the show, like, bye. We love you anyway. That's fine. And check out our other show, Game Stack. We do Twitch streams when we have a chance. Thank you so much for listening. Vendor, do you have a last word?
Really good.